Steve Jobs once observed that if you're not willing to cannibalize your own business, someone will do it for you. I mean, how true is that? Particularly in the pharmaceutical space, which is ultra competitive and in many ways curtailed by government regulation. You know, as the status quo in this industry continues to be disrupted at a greater rate than ever before, simply relying on what has led to success in the past will likely come at the cost of not just your future success, but potentially your future survival. You know, I've spent the bulk of the last decade working with some of the world's biggest brands and organizations, helping them navigate change and stay ahead of the curve. And personally, I found it fascinating to examine brands and businesses that in the midst of all this change and upheaval are going from strength to strength. But by the same token, I find it equally interesting to look at brands and businesses that are having the opposite experience, that are falling victim to this time of disruption and upheaval. I mean, of course, the downfall, the decline of brands like BlackBerry, Blockbuster, certainly Kodak. This leaves us with very little doubt. Any brand or business must be willing to reinvent itself well before they are forced to do so by external pressures. And plenty of companies and brands have done just that. I mean, consider, for instance, DuPont. I mean, DuPont were willing to sell off many of their cash cow businesses like Lycra and nylon and reinvent themselves as a leader in the space of fuel and food security. They are more relevant, more profitable as a business today than ever before. Or you look, for instance, at the 180-year-old glassware manufacturer, Corning. I mean, a long way from the days where Corning were known for making glass, light bulbs or cookware. I mean, the bulk of Corning's revenue today come from high-end medical devices that weren't even invented a decade ago. Now, one of my favorites would have to be Encyclopedia Britannica. You know, as far back as the mid-1990s, Britannica realized that the writing was on the wall, that the printed word would be superseded by online forms of information, and they took steps even as far back as then to reinvent themselves to become the vibrant and profitable digital company they are today. You know, what can we learn, particularly in the pharmaceutical sector, from businesses and brands like these? And that's the focus of this presentation, the Reinvention Roadmap. My commitment is that audience members would leave this session with a clear blueprint and action plan for reinventing themselves in the years to come. Whether this is by embracing new products and services or exploring new markets or new techniques or approaches, or maybe even just re-engineering existing systems and processes, the simple message is this: the future will favor the adaptable, just as opportunity favors the prepared. And this presentation will show you how to be both of those things, adaptable and prepared for everything the coming few years will hold.